So you've been diagnosed with POTS. That sucks. I've been there. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the different ways and different devices that I utilize over the summer to survive with POTS, because if you're like me, POTS is really hard to deal with over the summer. For those who do not know, POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It is primarily diagnosed by the factor of your heart rate. If when you stand up from a seated or laying down position and your heart rate increases by a dramatic amount, then most likely you have POTS. That's basically just the baseline of like how it works. It can lead to so many different outcomes. Like for me, I will get essentially stroke-like symptoms like this, with like my left side of my face drooping and the left side of my body not working because there's a lack of blood flow to my brain. I even actually utilize canes a lot when weather gets really hot or really cold, sometimes even, because my left side will start to shut down more often. That's actually one of the tools that I use. But to start the video off, that's the basic bare necessities of what POTS is. And if you want to go get more information on it, I strongly urge you to watch other videos that are actually by licensed medical professionals, because I am not. I am just a guy on the internet who's going to be talking about his own experience with POTS and living with POTS. The first ones are the most basic, the ones that everybody will hear when they go to their physician for the first time. Drink lots of water, potentially Gatorade, because Gatorade has salt in it and it has some sugars that help with the ability for salt to be absorbed. And oftentimes you end up just putting salt in water or a little bit of Gatorade and you try to get more salt to increase your blood pressure. Does this always work? No. And for me, it actually can make my migraines worse. So I have to be really careful. The other thing is medication. I'm covering up the label because I have private medical information on there. I take Midodrine personally. Midodrine is very useful for a lot of people. I used to be on it when I was younger, I believe, but then they tried to put me on this whole different stack and regimen of like beta blockers and things like that, because I have the subvariant called hyperadrenergic POTS. I hope I said that correctly. It's been a long time since I've said it. And a lot of those medications slowed down my heart rate too much, and then I started getting POTS seizures or pseudo seizures. They're not technically neurological seizures, so I hesitate to use that word, but when you say convulsions or seizures, everyone immediately goes to neurological storms, rightfully so, because those are much more severe. But POTS seizures are a thing, and they're very odd. That is a topic for another video, however. So besides the basics, which are water, salt, and medication, what are some things that you can do to try and survive the summer? Because again, if you're like me, the summertime sucks. So the first one, which is nice, but it's not perfect, is fans. And this fan, if you notice, I broke the back, so it's taped up a little bit. You actually clip this into your shirt, and you put your shirt over it, or your shorts or pants, and you clip your in your shirt over it, and it blows air up your shirt. The air is the same as whatever room or outside temperature that you're in, but it does help to evaporate some of the moisture that's on your skin like normal fans do, so therefore allowing you to cool via the evaporation process. They also make ones that are just fans that go around your neck. This one is mediocre. It blows through these vents up here. It's fine. The shirt one makes more of a difference for me. Is it perfect? No. Is it anything compared to just putting an ice pack on like your carotid arteries to help cool you down? Not really. But it's still very useful, especially if you're going to be outside for a while and you need something to have some relief. The next thing I wanted to talk about, which I utilize as more of a way of tracking my POTS symptoms, is any sort of heart rate tracker. So this is an Apple Watch. I get what are called POTS flare-ups, so I don't experience POTS symptoms all the time. And because I don't experience them all the time, I end up not trying to monitor it too closely if I'm feeling okay. But when I am having a lot of symptoms, I like to use my watch so that I can give actual data and like write down whatever I find on my watch to my physician so I can explain what's been going on. Or I can have a better idea of, okay, I was feeling really weird. I've been feeling really weird for the past hour. I'm having that feeling where I just can't wake up and I don't know what's wrong. And then I might look at my heart rate monitor, see my heart rate's really low. And then I go, okay, so I might be having a POTS flare up. And then I stand up and then my heart rate skyrockets and I just feel all woozy and I feel like I'm going to pass out. You don't need the watch for it, but it's sometimes nice to have something there, because if my heart rate's stable when I'm sitting down and it's stable when I'm sitting up, or standing up, and I'm having normal reactions and my POTS flare up is not occurring, I now know that something else is going on, which is useful because I have other things, like I have complex migraines and things like that. So it's nice to know that there are other things going. It's nice to know when you can eliminate a variable of, okay, should I be taking my POTS medication again because my medication is as needed, and should I go get some more water or salt? But like if my heart rate's stable and everything, it's like, okay, there maybe something else is going on. The next thing, and this one's a little bit weird, is a lot of people who have POTS, because it has neurological implications from the lack of blood flow to your brain, you can easily become overwhelmed, especially in group situations. Like as far as like if there's a lot of people and there's a lot of body heat, and your brain again sometimes just doesn't get as much blood as other people, so it becomes hard to process all the things going around you, and it can be hard to focus, almost like an ADHD sort of sensation. And I have ADHD, so that's how I know it's very similar. So these are just Apple AirPods, but I've also used earplugs. I've used over-the-head Sony ear headphones, but it helps so that when you're in crowd situations or if it's very loud and it's very hot, you can actually have something to help keep your brain focused. Because sometimes when you don't have that much blood in your head, it's hard to utilize all of your different senses. So you need to like cut things out so you can try and focus on, okay, what's the brass tacks? What do I need to focus on and get down to in order to accomplish whatever I'm trying to accomplish for the day? So that one's a little bit out there. Not everybody needs it. That one's might just be a me thing, but I've noticed a lot of I've seen online that a lot of people with POTS have that. The other thing that everyone will mention, I end up using them more in the wintertime than I do in the summertime. Sorry if you can hear my dog. She's sitting in my lap. I use compression gear. So these are compression socks. They help with all the way up to the knee. Sometimes if I'm having really bad POTS, all my blood just wants to go down to my feet. And if my blood is in my feet, I'm not staying conscious. So if it's not too hot for me, I will often wear the compression socks. And then I have compression pants, which are pretty similar to like those athletic pants that a lot of people wear for warming up. And then if it's really bad and I just can't seem to hold blood in my brain, I have a compression shirt. Now, using them all three together, I also have compression gloves, but that's mainly wintertime. Using all three together, if you're in a really bad spot, can be helpful, but you have to be very cautious of how warm you're getting. At least I do. I am prone to overheating, and in the summertime, I find that I'd rather have a little bit more salt and midodrine and have a little bit of a headache rather than using the compression clothing, because the compression clothing, especially if you don't get the ones that are able to expel heat very well, you will get overwhelmed with heat and it will not feel good. So compression clothing, the socks, the pants, the shirts, sometimes the gloves. Sometimes actually I found that all I need is the gloves and the socks, because it's just getting it close enough to my heart that I can actually start to get better blood flow. But that's a person thing. As with all of these things, I recommend you ask your doctor before utilizing them. The next one, which sounds a little funny, is ice packs. So if you're like me and you like going to the beach, but you struggle at the beach, sometimes it can be helpful to literally just put a bunch of ice packs in a cooler. And although it's more annoying that now you have to bring another cooler to the beach, you can put them on your neck, you can put them under your arm, or I believe there's different places. There's a bunch of infographics online on what are the fastest places to cool down if you struggle from heat exhaustion. I get heat exhaustion really easily, and I've gotten heat stroke before terrible sensations. But one of the things they always say is try to put it on your carotid arteries of your neck. I believe it's under your arms and your armpits, and then there's certain places on your legs that you can utilize it to make yourself cooler. And so sometimes when I'm getting really overheated, and sometimes even when I just have really bad head swelling because I suffer from migraines, I'll put ice packs on my neck. Again, you don't want to put ice directly on your neck, especially for long periods of time, because you can get ice burn. So you have to make sure you're doing this correctly with like a layer in between if you're going to be doing it for a long time. And so that can cool everything down a little bit. And for me, it also helps with a little bit of pain relief with my migraines. I should mention that migraines and POTS are often comorbid, or occurring at the same time in the same people. I don't think there's a specific scientific reason why yet, but I do know that is a thing. Other thing that I'm going to be trying soon for the first time is a cooling device. So they make a lot of them for your neck, your upper back, and things like that. You've probably seen them. They look like these neck fans, except the difference is that they have cooling plates on them. And the plates themselves have, I believe what they're called is thermoelectric conductor plates. You might have to correct me on that one, but basically they allow one side to be cool, and then there's fans that pump the hot air that it's drawing from your skin out away from you. So it can feel cool to the touch, and if you have it near specifically your carotid arteries, which is why I got ones that have side panels rather than just the back of the neck. I believe it's your carotid arteries. It's the it's the main blood moving through your neck is the point. It can help to cool you down faster. And so I'm going to be trying that out. They are not cheap. I will say that the one I'm going to try out is a couple $100s. I had been putting it off for a long time, but now with summer coming back around and my pot's starting to act up, I figured, hey, I have a little bit of extra cash right now. I should try and utilize it. And then the last, but the most like no duh kind of thing is AC. Air conditioning is really important. If you know that you're going to be going outside and you know that you're going to be doing something strenuous and you're not going to have a whole lot of things to cool you down, knowing that you can get to a place that you can cool down in is very important. So I recently had a very bad POTS flare up when I was hanging out with my buddy and we were walking around this town. I don't want to dox myself, so I'm not going to give particulars. But basically, what happened is all of a sudden, I knew I was going to have a POTS thing, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to black out and I'm starting to shake. And when I say blackout, I mean like I usually lose vision in my eyes. I don't mean that blackout like when you get drunk or whatnot. But he was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go get my truck cool for you. We're going to get you to my truck. And I was like, okay, is there any way you can get me salt? Like a lot of salt. And he was like, there's McDonald's. Do you want to run to McDonald's really quick? And he was a lifesaver. If he watches my videos, dude, you know who you are. But he got me to the McDonald's. He got me fries with a lot of salt, and he got me an extra large drink. And so by consuming those things and being in an air-conditioned vehicle, I was able to recover from my POTS very quickly, which allowed me to drive home. Because if that wasn't the case, I most likely would have just been staying in my truck shaking, trying to recover from the unfortunate reality of my POTS taking over. So like in my office, for example, my home office, I should say, I have a window AC unit. Now the house has a central AC, but this room, for whatever reason, gets much hotter than the rest of the rooms. So I bought a window AC unit so I can specifically cool this room down even colder than the rest of the house. If you can afford it, again, a lot of these things unfortunately cost money, and I understand if it's not applicable to you, but these are the things that have helped me. So the AC unit, I often am like, okay, I need to run downstairs. I need to go outside and do this thing. I'm going to get really warm. I'm going to turn on the AC in this room. I'm going to turn it way down. Sometimes I even get it to like 66 degrees in here. And so I go do whatever is going to make me really hot and I'm going to feel really faint. And I know it's going to be tough for a little bit, but then I come back to my office to cool down. There is one last device that I wanted to discuss today. It is probably the most expensive out of all of the things I've talked about today, and it is called a Q collar. So Q collars are made for uh, repetitive traumatic head injuries to reduce the amount of damage to the brain. They're relatively controversial. I think that they have good application, but basically what they do is they backflow blood to the brain. I have had mixed results in this helping with my POTS, and I will be completely frank with you. I think part of the reason is because it will hold blood in your brain, but it doesn't necessarily make it oxygenated blood. So I feel as though sometimes, even if I am backflowing blood to my brain by wearing this Q collar, which has soft points to compress the blood that should be backflowing to your heart by slowly gathering it in your brain. That's actually how it creates like a cushioning effect in the brain by slightly increasing the blood pressure in there for sports impacts. But when it comes to that utilization of that product for POTS, it has some literature and evidence to support that it could help. Again, for me, the results are super mixed. Some days it works perfectly and I stay conscious. Some days all it accomplishes is me giving me a throbbing headache and I still have POTS. So POTS is extremely multifactorial. And I also want to clarify, there are so many different types of POTS, and everybody's POTS is a little bit different on how their body reacts to things. Some people can't eat large amounts of sugar because it makes all of their blood go to their abdomen and they feel ill. Like there's so many different things for different people. For me, I'm lucky enough that sugar doesn't actually harm me. It usually helps me to absorb salt more readily. So given all these things, I always recommend that you talk to your physician if you have a physician that is specializing in POTS, or at least your primary care provider, so they can do their own, they have access to a lot of resources that we don't, so they can do their research, learn up on it, and discuss with you what is best for you. Also, if you are newly diagnosed with POTS, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are a lot of resources by actual medical professionals online explaining how this disorder works, or I guess syndrome works. It's a series of symptoms. It's not a technical disease, but that's due to some criteria things, and we don't fully understand POTS, but there are things that you can do to make it a little bit better. So that is going to be it for me today, you guys. As always, if you lift, keep your shoulders back and down when you lift. And I will see you guys in the next video. Like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you don't mind. All right. Have a nice day.